The movie starts in a desert where we see a man named Wendham, who was a professional photographer. He had come to the desert to click beautiful photos of sunrise. After capturing all the photos, he starts to leave. But while going a little ahead, he sees a crying child. Wendham asks the child why he is crying, to which the child says, "I am lost here." Hearing this, Wendham asks the child to come with him, but the child starts walking in another direction and says, "My parents are on this side." So, Wendham, unwillingly, follows the child and tries to stop him, saying there is nothing in that direction. But the child does not stop. While following the child, Wendham goes deep into the desert. Then Wendham tries to stop the child forcefully, but still, the child does not stop. Suddenly, the child gives Wendham a strange smile and runs away. Seeing this, Wendham understands that the child deliberately brought him here. So, he decides to return, but he does not know the way back. Wandering, the night falls. Wendham starts looking for shelter to protect himself from the cold and finds a house ahead where a woman also resides. But the house is slightly downhill, and there is only a ladder to climb down. Now Wendham has no other place to stay, so he climbs down the ladder and goes into the house. Inside, he sees the woman, whose name is Alina. But Alina seems a bit strange because even after seeing Wendham, she does not react or ask anything. So, Wendham speaks up and says, "I am lost, so can I stay here for the night?" Even after hearing this, Alina does not answer but asks him to have food after a while. Wendham feels a bit strange hearing this but still sits to eat. Although, he does not eat the food. Afterward, Alina gives him a room to sleep in. Wendham notices Alina changing clothes and then goes to sleep. The next day, Wendham wakes up and goes back to the ladder, but he sees that the ladder is no longer there. The place where he is surrounded by high cliffs on all sides, making it impossible to leave without the ladder. Disturbed, Wendham goes to Alina and asks, "Where's the ladder that was here yesterday?" To this, Alina replies, "They must have removed it after you came." Hearing this, Wendham asks, "Who are they?" But Alina does not reply and goes back to her work. We then see Wendham trying to leave this place by climbing the cliff with the help of a climbing hammer. After climbing a little, he gets tired and takes a rest. Meanwhile, he hears the sound of children laughing from above, and suddenly, a severed goat head falls down, startling Wendham, and he slips, falling unconscious. At night, Wendham regains consciousness and finds a sharp object stuck in his leg, causing him great pain. He starts shouting, and hearing his cries, Alina comes and removes the object from his leg. She then takes him inside the house. The next morning, Wendham asks Alina again who is stopping him from leaving, but Alina gives no answer. Wendham then notices a boy on the cliff and asks him for help, telling him to bring a rope. The boy tells Wendham to wait and leaves to bring a rope. After a while, the boy comes back with a rope, throws it down, and tells Wendham to climb up. Wendham ties the rope around himself and starts climbing up. Meanwhile, Alina watches everything from the window but stays silent. Just as Wendham reaches halfway up, he thinks he will be saved now. But suddenly, we see some children above, one of whom urinates on Wendham, and the rest start pulling the rope forcefully. Wendham shouts for help from Alina, and Alina comes and tells the children to stop, but by then, Wendham's head hits a rock, and he falls unconscious. Wendham now starts feeling that he will never be able to leave this place. He thinks Alina might have been trapped here similarly and, unable to leave, accepted this place as her home. But surprisingly, the children do not want to kill Wendham or Alina. Instead, they give them food every day but do not let them leave. The next day, Wendham starts trying to grow vegetables in this barren place so they will not lack food while staying there. Then a boy named Lepus comes to the cliff and asks Wendham, "What are you doing?" Wendham tells him he is growing vegetables. Lepus then asks Wendham to teach him this, to which Wendham takes advantage and tries to befriend Lepus. He tells him, "I can teach you whenever you want." Hearing this, Lepus throws a chewing gum packet at Wendham and leaves. Around this time, Wendham also finds a ring and a car key, which makes him realize that many people must have been trapped here before him. At night, Wendham starts drinking heavily. Alina stops him from drinking too much, but Wendham scolds her. Alina then shares all her secrets with him. Seeing this, Wendham cannot control himself, and they become intimate. The next day, Lepus comes to Wendham, asking him to teach him. Wendham tells Lepus he cannot teach him from such a distance. If Lepus helps him get out of there, Wendham promises to teach him anything he wants. Frightened, Lepus tells Wendham he cannot help him with the others around. But he promises to try when no one is there. Alina overhears this conversation. At night, Alina tells Wendham during dinner that she is pregnant. Hearing this, Wendham gets very angry and says, "You are the only one responsible because you seduced me." To this, Alina replies that it was both their fault. Wendham falls silent. The next morning, Wendham wakes up to hear Alina crying outside. He comes out and is shocked to see Lepus's dead body hanging in the air. The children had killed him because he wanted to help Wendham. Alina cries out, calling Lepus her son. This reveals that Lepus was Alina's child. In rage, Alina blames Wendham for Lepus's death and hits him on the head with a stick, rendering him unconscious. She locks him in a cage for 9 months until her child is born. During this time, Wendham becomes like an animal. Although Alina feeds him, she shows no concern for him, even though he is the father of her child. One day, Wendham sees a girl standing on the cliff and tries to ask for help. But the children arrive and kill the girl. When Alina brings food to Wendham, he asks her why she is doing this to him. He says, "I am the father of your child. Either free me or kill me." Alina replies, "You are just a tool to fulfill our purpose," and leaves. The next morning, Alina goes into labor and releases Wendham, asking for his help. Alina gives birth to a daughter. Seeing his lovely daughter, Wendham decides he will stay here. But suddenly, the children come from behind and strangle Wendham, killing him. Afterward, the children tell Alina, "Mother, we did what you asked." It turns out all these children were Alina's offspring. Before Wendham, Alina had relationships with many men and bore children from them. Sometime later, we see Alina caring for her daughter, saying that her daughter will take her place in the future. The movie ends with Wendham's lifeless body still lying there.